Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the regular meeting of Los Angeles City Council's Planning and Land Use Management Committee. I'm joined by my colleagues, Mr. Kerry Price, of the 9th Council District, and Mr. Greg Smith, of the 12th Council District. My name is Marquise Harris-Dawson. I am the chair of this committee. We'll begin our meeting. Today we have a handful of items that we have to cover. I have a script that I will read. Members of the public wishing to speak must complete a request at the kiosk. This is for all speakers, including applicants and appellants, property owners, and their representatives. Members of the public wishing to speak on more than one item shall present all comments during the multiple agenda item comment segment of this meeting and will be allowed to speak for a total of 2 minutes. Members of the public wishing to speak on the agenda item only shall have an opportunity to speak for 1 minute at that time the item is called. The general public comment segment of the meeting is to speak to non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of this committee. And there are rules posted at the back of the room on a giant cardboard cutout. I invite anybody who has any questions about that to avail themselves of those. We've also been joined by another colleague, Mr. Bob Blumenfeld of the 3rd Council District. I'll begin the meeting with our general public comment section. We have a handful of folks. And so first for 2 minutes, Ms. Patricia McAllister. And then after Ms. McAllister, we have Nicholas Patino, Marita Cintron, and Renee for 1 minute each.
Okay, I would like to start with number 6 here. You want to demolish some buildings here at 1111 West 7th Street, 1112 to 1142 West Ingram, and 675 to 685 South Bixel. I used to live in that area. I know exactly where you're going here. Now, my problem is all of the properties and buildings around there charge $1,800 to $2,000 a month. So I know this is not affordable housing. I see nothing in here that says you have an allocation for affordable housing, but you continue to build, and I don't see any affordable housing that you're building. You don't even talk about that. Now, this Measure JJJ, let's talk about that. That's number 4. Measure JJJ, they submitted this in June 2018, and you're saying that you just found out. Now, this measure passed in 2016. You just found out that you can't build 25 development projects in that area because there's some kind of conflict. Now, you got 650 lawyers over there and across the building there, half of them not even lawyers, and then you're going to tell me you just found out 2 years ago you can't build. JJJ is for affordable housing, and you're supposed to hire the people in the community. Every time I look up, you have all of these restrictions where you can't take care of the affordable housing, but you can allow this measure here. They only submitted theirs in 2018, and they're about to build already over here on 7th Street and Bixel and all of those areas over there. You can get theirs done within a year, but you can't do the affordable housing, and you claim you didn't know the conflict of interest. You knew the conflict of interest. I study patterns, and the patterns is, oh, we got all these billions of dollars for affordable housing, but we just ran into a problem. But we can build this $2,000 to $3,000 apartments a year. You know, we can get those up. We're going to get you all out of here. You're under federal investigation right now. Not just the blacks. We want all of you under investigation. The white ones too.
Appreciate you. Come on up, next speaker. And as I call your name, you should line up and be ready to go. Sarah Blanche, Daisy Gutierrez, Carmen Estrada.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicolas Patiño. I am a member of the Los Angeles Drug and Alcohol Policy Alliance. I am a community organizer at the Wallace Memorials Project in Highland Park, which is City Council District 1. We are here to ask that you agendize.
Can you hold for 1 second? These folks are for 1 minute because they're only on one item. Sorry. We'll start your time over.
We're on the agenda?
Right, but you've signed up for general public comment? Right, so that's 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, so you can start over. And
Okay, we are here to ask that you agendize the alcohol restrictive use sub-district council file 17017. It has been held back 2 years by the former chair of the committee. ARIS matters because our communities need a tool that curbs the overconcentration of alcohol outlets. We must do better for our businesses and for the health of our communities. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marina Cintron, and I'm a member of LA Drug and Alcohol Policy Alliance, also a member of the West Side Impact Project, and we're a group of concerned community members and public health professionals. I represent West LA. The Alcohol Restricted Use Subdistrict, which is also known as ARIS, is Council File number 17-0117, matters because it's pro-community and would protect neighborhoods from overconcentration of more alcohol businesses in sensitive areas. We ask that you agendize ARIS, which only asks for a report back from the Planning Department and the City Attorney to determine the feasibility of having an ARIS zones. We hope that to present a separate motion for the pilot ARIS in the future. Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Hi, my name is Rene Martinez. I am also a member of LA DAPA and a community organizer at the Walas Memorias. I'd like to read a list of supporters for the ARIS motion, including Alcohol Justice, Behavioral Health Services, Boyle Heights Stakeholder Association, Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, the Coalition to Ban Billboard Blight, Community Intelligence, COPOM, Institute for Public Strategies, Koreatown Youth and Community Center, Mothers of East LA, P3 Partnership for a Positive Pomona, Paso por Paso, Pueblo y Salud, San Fernando Valley Partnership, Saving Lives Coalition, SPA 2 Communities in Action, Social Model Recovery Services, Tarzana Treatment Centers, United Coalition East Prevention Project, the Walas Memorias, Watts Healthcare Corporation, Women Against Gun Violence, Women's Christian Temperance Union. We would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Blanch, and I am co-chair of the Los Angeles Drug and Alcohol Policy Alliance. I'm also director of the West Side Impact Project. We're a group of concerned community members, residents, business people, and public health professionals on the west side of Los Angeles working to reduce alcohol-related harms. Like so many of the constituents here today, we are asking that the Plum Committee agendize ARIS, which is Council File number 17-0117. Right now, there are over 7,700 alcohol businesses in the city of LA. There are 1,100 applications in process for licenses. Those are rarely, if ever, denied. And the truth is, that has a tremendous impact on public health and safety, and huge portions of Los Angeles aren't just a little bit overconcentrated. They are sometimes 8,000, 9,000% above what ABC deems appropriate to protect public health and safety. ARIS is a reasonable and flexible tool to help manage overconcentration because the existing ones are broken. We ask that you agendize it so we can get a report back. Thank you.
Thank you. Irene Martinez, Jackie Vargas, Campos, Maria Marquez.
Good afternoon. Council Member Marquise Harris Dawson. My name is Daisy Gutierrez, and I'm a member of the Madres que Luchan of Hoover Street Elementary School. So I'm here to ask you to please put motion 1701 to alcohol restricted use subdistrict ARIS on the next planning, land use, and management committee agendas set to expire on January 31st, 2019. As Angelinos, parent, and community advocates, we urge you to the committee to consider giving us fair look. ARIS is a community tool that can be utilized to mitigate the proliferation of alcohol outlets and alcohol-related harms in our great city by preventing new licenses from coming into a selected region of our community. Our group, we are Madres que Luchan who participate in to fight. Our mission is to fight to have a clean and safe environment. Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Carmen Estrada, soy madre de la comunidad y soy miembro de la coalición para prevenir daños relacionados con el alcohol en el metro de Los Ángeles. Hoy estoy aquí para pedirle al comité que incluya la moción del subdistrito del uso restringido de alcohol, archivo del Consejo 17-0117, en la agenda de Plum. Esta ordenanza propuesta siguiendo el modelo de San Francisco otorga a las comunidades control local sobre la profilación del alcohol, las comunidades y incluye el tipo de licencias de alcohol. Están permitidas en una subárea de una comunidad. La moción solicita en un informe de vialidad. Por favor, considere poner la moción en la agenda Plum la próxima semana. Gracias.
Councilman, in essence, what she was saying is to schedule the motion to create alcohol sub-districts in the city that is pending Plum and that will expire on the 31st of January, since it was introduced in 2017.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Irene Martínez y soy madre de la comunidad. Y hoy, miembro de la comunidad, Coalición para Prevenir los Daños Relacionados con el Alcohol en el Metro de Los Ángeles. Hoy estoy aquí para pedirles al comité que incluya la moción del subdistrito de uso restringido del alcohol. Archivo de Consejo 17-01-17 de la agenda de Plum. Esta ordenanza propuesta, siguiendo el modelo de San Francisco, otorga a las comunidades control local sobre la proliferación del alcohol. Las comunidades, usted como concejal, tendrán la oportunidad de identificar que los tipos de negocios.
Thank you, Mr. Mejia.
So similar to the prior speaker, she's a community activist, a concerned parent. She wants the motion to be scheduled in committee. She says that it should follow the model of San Francisco, where there is local control as to the proliferation of alcohol businesses.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackie, and I am a member of the Coalition to Prevent Alcohol-Related Harms in Los Angeles Metro, I am here to ask the committee to put the alcohol restricted use sub-district motion council file 170117 on the Plum agenda. This process ordinance modeled after San Francisco gives communities local control on alcohol proliferation. Communities and you as a council member will have the opportunity to identify what types of business, including what alcohol license type, are followed in a sub-area of a community. The motion asks for a feasibility report. Please consider putting the motion on the Plum agenda next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Miriam Castro, Melanie Toe, Chelsea Padilla. No, you can start. You can start. You can start.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Eulalia Campos. Soy una madre de familia de la comunidad, miembro de la comunidad. Soy miembro de la localización de prevenir de los daños relacionados con el alcohol en el metro de Los Ángeles. Hoy estoy aquí para pedirles al comité que incluyan la emoción de sustrito del uso del destinado del alcohol, archivo del Consejo 17017. En la agenda del Plum está propuesta siguiendo al modelo de San Francisco, otorga a la comunidad el control de la localidad sobre la profesión del alcohol de la comunidad.
como concejal
Thank
tendrá
you.
la oportunidad.
That's your time. Mr. Mejia?
So similar to the other speakers, her name is Evangelia Campos. She's a community member. She's concerned about the proliferation of alcohol in the city. She wants the motion 170117 scheduled in Plum at the meeting of next week, January the 29th. The model should follow the model of San Francisco, wherein communities have local control as to the proliferation of alcohol.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Miriam Castro, soy miembro de COPALM. Para prevenir daños relacionados con el alcohol en el metro de Los Ángeles. Hoy estoy aquí para pedirle al comité que incluya la moción del subdistrito del uso restringido del alcohol. Archivo del Consejo 17-117 en la agenda de Plum Arus. Es una herramienta que ayudará a mitigar la densidad del alcohol en nuestra comunidad. Actualmente hay un total de 185 licencias y solicitudes de alcohol en el Distrito 8 del Consejo, 437 en el Distrito 1 del Consejo 403, en el Distrito 12 del Consejo 333, en el Distrito 9 del Consejo y 484 en el Distrito 3 del Consejo. El alcohol no tiene que ser lo único, eso ayuda a las empresas a sobrevivir. Debemos hacerlo mejor para nuestros negocios. Gracias.
Thank you.
Again, she's a community activist. Her name
Buenas
is
tardes, mi nombre es María
Hold
Márquez.
on, permiso.
Mi nombre es María Márquez,
Oh,
soy
permiso.
mamá, abuela.
Un momento, por favor.
¿Sí?
Es que voy a traducir para las otras personas, señora. Un momento.
Oh, faltó el otro. Oh, ya.
So the prior speaker was Miriam Castro. She comes from the Palms neighborhood. She's concerned about the proliferation of alcohol. She seeks the motion to be placed on the Plum agenda, and she read into the record various statistics as to the number of applications for alcohol applications pending in council districts 8, 1, 3, and others, which exceed up to 400 applications in some of those districts. Continúe, señora.
¿Ah, sí? Sí, buenas tardes, mi nombre es María Márquez, soy madre, abuela. Yo soy miembro de la coalición para prevenir las drogas, de prevenir los daños relacionados con el alcohol en el metro de Los Ángeles. Relacionado con, estoy aquí hoy para pedirles al comité que presente la moción 17-0117 en la próxima agenda de Plum. Esta es una herramienta comunitaria que nosotros permitirá abordar la constancia indebida de las salidas de alcohol por nuestra ciudad. Tenemos el apoyo para ARUS de muchos consejos, organizaciones, vecinos como comité de coalición, Wilshire, no sé cómo se dice, pero por ahí va, Concilio North Hollywood y todas muchas áreas.
Thank you.
Queremos que nos hagan caso porque muchos
you.
jóvenes,
Thank you.
nuestros nietos están muriendo por el alcohol.
That's your time.
So again, her name is Maria Marquez. She comes from the Palms neighborhood. She's concerned about the proliferation of alcohol, and she seeks to have the motion placed on the Plum agenda next week.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Melanie To. I'm a member of LA Drug and Alcohol Policy Alliance, as well as COPAM, Coalition to Prevent Alcohol-Related Harms in LA Metro. I represent Koreatown. I live in Koreatown, CD1. I also represent Westlake and Pico Union communities, and Alcohol Restricted Use Subdistrict RS Council File number 17-0117 matters because it is a community tool that gives people a voice. Now, Council Member Harris Dawson, you on Saturday were at the Empowerment Congress Summit, and so was I. I was inspired, and I am so happy that these mothers came out today to speak up for their communities. And this tool, the Alcohol Restricted Use Subdistrict, is an empowerment tool. I want for our communities to come out and speak for what they want, for them to have a voice. It matters to me, it matters to them. So I ask you, as well as the rest of the council members here in Plum, to please put it on the agenda next week. Thank you.
afternoon. My name is Chelsea Padilla, and I'm a member of the Los Angeles Drug and Alcohol Policy Alliance, and a member of the Coalition to Prevent Alcohol-Related Harms in LA Metro. I represent Koreatown, Westlake, and Pico Union communities. RS Council File number 17-0117 matters because it allows for the proliferation of alcohol outlets in our communities. We ask that you agendize RS, which only asks for a report back from the Planning Department and City Attorney to determine the feasibility of having RS zones. We hope to present a separate motion for a pilot RS area in the near future. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Lydia Lee, and I'm a member of...
Hold on, Ms. Lee. Did I call you?
Sorry.
If I didn't call you, you don't get to talk. Sorry. Maybe I might call you later. Stay tuned. Raul Verdugo, Jorge Castillo, Myra Jimenez. Lydia Lee, you're down there at the bottom. Come on back up. Sorry. Your name was last on the list, but come on back up. And everybody else that I called as well. Raul, Jorge, Maida. Sorry, my apologies.
So I'm a member of the Coalition to Prevent Alcohol-Related Harms in Los Angeles as well. I just wanted to ask the committee to put RS on the agenda. It's a community tool that will help us help the undue concentrations of alcohol and liquor stores in Koreatown. And I just wanted to say alcohol does not have to be the only thing that helps businesses survive, and I hope that you guys will consider it for the public health of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Raul Verdugo. I'm a member of the Los Angeles Drug and Alcohol Policy Alliance, and I'd just like to present a list of supporters for ARIS. California Council on Alcohol Problems, Cesar E. Chavez Commemorative Committee, Community Intelligence, Community Coalition, Dr. Jonathan Fielding Schools of Public Health and Medicine, El Centro del Pueblo, Fernandinho Tatavian Band of Mission Indians, Father Greg Boyle of Homeboy Industries, and Magnolia Community Initiative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee members, council members. My name is Jorge Castillo. I'm the Advocacy Director at Alcohol Justice. We're a national organization that regulates alcohol. And also we're members of the Los Angeles Drug and Alcohol Policy Alliance, and I would like to read to you a list of supporters. National Asian Pacific American Families Against Substance Abuse, National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, San Fernando Valley, North Hollywood West Neighborhood Council, Pacoima Urban Village, Pacoima Neighborhood Council, Prevention Institute, Southern California Indian Center, stakeholders of Boyle Heights, the West Side Impact Coalition, Variety Boys and Girls in Boyle, Watts Healthcare Corporation, West Hollywood Project, and the West Side Impact Coalition. We respectfully ask for your support, and hopefully you can agendize it next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Mayra Jimenez. I'm an advocacy organizer with Alcohol Justice. We're the alcohol industry watchdog. We look to regulate the alcohol industry. We're focused on research and evidence-based prevention, and we're here today to urge you to support agendizing ARIS that is due to expire, and our last opportunity would be this upcoming Tuesday to have it heard. We want you to support community. We're here supporting community because there is a big cost harm that we encounter here in LA and LA County. It's $2.2 billion a year, and we look forward to supporting this moving forward, and we hope that you stand on the side of community and give them the voice and the tools that they deserve in considering just agendizing this zones to be considered at the city level. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Brenda Villanueva, Lucas Vigil, Stephanie Ocolo, and Sam Trent. Yes.
All right. Hi, my name is Brenda Villanueva, and I am co-chair of the Los Angeles Drug and Alcohol Policy Alliance. I am here to urge you to agendize ARIS Motion Council File 17-0117 0117, which would serve as a tool to mitigate the over-proliferation of alcohol licenses in the city of LA. This motion matters because it empowers communities as well as it provides each particular district an avenue in which to better manage the impacts of alcohol in their respective communities. We ask that you agendize ARIS, which only asks for a report back from the planning department and the city attorney to determine the feasibility of having ARIS zones. We hope to present a separate motion for a pilot ARIS area in the future. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lucas. I represent the San Fernando Valley, and the ARIS matters because as a youth member of LA, there needs to be a concentration of the kind of businesses that are set up in our community, and the less alcohol that is available to the community, the less crime, whether it's domestic violence or drunk driving, and better businesses can be set up and can profit the city of LA rather than the negative impact that alcohol brings. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Okolo, and I'm here on behalf of the Los Angeles Drug and Alcohol Policy. This is my umpteenth time being up here asking this council to look at and recognize and agenda ARIS motion. I've come up here countless times. My colleagues have been up here countless times to ask you guys to see it from a community standpoint and to have a heart for the marginalized communities that are inundated with alcohol retailers. At the same time that we're here asking for this motion to be passed, we see how this council pushes forward the alcohol retailers' agenda every single month. And as a community member, I don't think it's fair. I think that it's time that you give a voice to the little people and give them the power that they so desperately need. Thank you.
Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Sam Trin, and like everyone that has spoken before me, I'm speaking in favor of the ARIS motion. It's received a lot of support from City Council members, and we've been pushing for it for almost about 2 years, but unfortunately it's sitting and stalling and not getting agendized as it should. So I'm hoping that it does, and that it doesn't go down the same path and fate as a lot of alcohol permits that are just being given out carelessly, without public input and without regulatory mechanisms. On the flip side, I hope that the community gets the empowerment that they deserve, especially in Hollywood, where there are a bunch of alcohol retailers. It's literally being flooded with places to buy and purchase alcohol. So again, I'm pushing for ARIS to be agendized and recognized by City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Veronica Delara, Nicholas Patino, and Myra Jimenez, if you haven't spoken.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Veronica Delara, and I am a program director at Puebla Salud. I'm also a member of the Los Angeles Drug and Alcohol Policy Alliance, also known as LA DAPA. And as my other colleagues have also mentioned, I'm here to ask the committee members to look into ARIS, to plan to agendize ARIS in the next planning committee. As well as this tool, ARIS motion will be an important step, not only to protect vulnerable communities, but also to help and gain community wellness as well. So I just ask the committee to agendize ARIS at your next committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Please tell Mr. Javier Flores the councilman says hello.
I will.
Thank you. All right, I think that concludes our general public comment speakers. We have a number of folks here on ARIS, and I just want to, without speaking directly to the issue, many of you who know me know that I spent a good chunk of my adult life working on the overconcentration of alcohol in South LA, which is the part of the city with the highest concentration of liquor outlets per person, higher than anywhere else in the city. So this is actually a subject I know a good deal about. A subject that I know less about is scheduling things on the Planning and Land Use Management Committee meetings. So we're going to take a hard look at it. We're going to do what we can. But please understand from me as the chair of this committee, these policy objectives will be looked at. It is something that will come to this committee. It's something that we will discuss. I cannot tell you we'll get it done next week, but we absolutely will get it done. So continue to press the mark and continue the organizing and involvement work that you're doing on it. And my apologies if this is something that's getting compromised in the transition between leadership on this committee. So with that, we should start the meeting with agenda item number 5, which there's been a request to continue. So if there's no objection, actually I have a couple speakers on number 5, and there's a request to continue. So if you want to speak to something that's going to be continued, please feel free to do so, Mr. Calick. You're the only public speaker. You do not wish to speak. All right. All right. You were going to ask for a continuance. So we'll ask that this be continued to the 29th of January. All right. Hearing no objection, that'll be the order. And we'll go from there to item number 2.
Item 2, Councilman, this is a motion, Koretz Harris Dawson. It's instructing the Planning Department to identify options to amend the Westwood Village specific plan.
All right. If there is no staff presentation on this, we'll go to. Is there a staff presentation on this? No, seeing none. All right. I've got a good amount of speakers on this, starting with Alex Helmy, Andrew Thomas, Peter Klinko, Michael Skiles. Yes.
Hello, my name is Alex Helmy. I have business in Westwood Boulevard, in Persian Square, and I would like to ask you guys to have less restriction for small businesses and parking restriction so we can have a better life in Westwood area. The businesses are suffering so much because of so much regulation and lack of parking in Westwood Boulevard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Andrew Thomas. I'm the executive director of the Westwood Business Improvement District. We are the nonprofit management organization charged by the city to administer the Westwood Business Improvement District, and we represent hundreds of businesses and owners of property in our district. We are asking you to support Councilmember Koretz's motion asking for the planning department to report back with options on amending the Westwood Village Specific Plan. The Westwood Village Specific Plan was adopted in 1989, amended in 2002. I've read the other 47 specific plans in the city of Los Angeles. None are as restrictive as Westwood's. Our plan is dated and very far from best practices in planning. The plan's restrictions on food uses and parking contribute to our district's much higher than average vacancy rate. To put it frankly, we're stuck because our regulations that may have made sense in the 80s do not make sense in 2019. Our district has much to look forward to. The Metro Purple Line extension is coming, as is the Olympics. We need to prepare by encouraging leasing in our district, so I encourage you to support this motion. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Klinko. I'm the owner of the Skylight Gardens restaurant across from the Hamry Museum. Thanks to the establishment of the North Westwood Neighborhood Council, neighbors in Westwood spoke they wanted change to reawaken Westwood Village. The Westwood of yesterday relied on its originality, movie houses, and classic department stores. They're not there anymore. The new draw in the new Westwood Village has to be more than a world-class hospital and university. Tenants, that's what we need. More inventive strategies in the management of the village, new food establishments, creative and short tenants. Business community now needs your help to revisit a 30-year-old business plan which quite frankly does not respect the new times. We need tenants. Reality time. If the village is filled, there are more potential customers for everyone, and that risks the diminishing reward and the possible new tenants will help all businesses. Thank you.
Brad Erickson, Kevin Crummy, Mr. Simon.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Skiles, President of the North Westwood Neighborhood Council and also of UCLA's Graduate Students Association. I've come to express my support as an individual for Koretz's report back motion, which I think would eliminate one of the greatest impediments to seeing Westwood revive and achieve its full potential. Westwood has chronic vacancies, and quite a few of them, because so many storefronts are vacant year after year because they can't get a single use in that complies with the many overly burdensome regulations that don't support our community's interests. In this case, we have a de facto fast food ban, which is exacerbated by the fact that it defines fast food so broadly that it includes everything from Starbucks, that incidentally sells food, to fancy fast casual uses like Tender Greens, Mendocino Farms lemonade. We want to get in all these uses. We want to fill these vacancies. Let's help revive our community. Thank you.
Members of the committee, members of the council, thank you for taking the time to listen to me about this today. I support the motion to study. My name is Brad Erickson. I represent UCLA on the Westwood Village Improvement Association. I also am the Executive Director of Campus Service Enterprises at UCLA, which includes real estate, asset management, and risk management. I also live in Westwood. I was born at UCLA. Hopefully I'll have life after UCLA. I want to speak from two perspectives. From an academic perspective, from a UCLA perspective, I support the motion because I believe it is simply a study motion. I think I find it interesting that people are here today to speak for the pros and cons of the substance of this, yet the study has not occurred. So I really want to encourage approval of the motion to at least study options, because I believe as a resident, longtime member of the Westwood, that some change needs to happen. I don't know what that is exactly, but I think some change needs to occur. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Crummy. I'm the Chief Investment Officer of a company called Douglas Emmett. We own 6 office buildings in Westwood, high-rises that on any given day we have about 9,000 tenants in our buildings, and they're desperate for places to go eat and drink and have fun. And I'm here on behalf of them. I'm also here, I'm a homeowner, I'm active in the bid, and I'm on the North Westwood Neighborhood Council. So there's some big changes coming to Westwood. One is the subway. The subway, Uber, and Lyft really are going to make these parking restrictions functionally obsolete. We have a 20th century plan. We're living in the 21st century. We also have the Olympics coming. I know it's 10 years from now, but 10 years is going to go by in a heartbeat, especially from a planning perspective. And if we're going to fill these vacancies and make Westwood the place that LA can be proud of to host the Olympic Village, I think we got to start now. And this motion of Mr. Koretz is the first step. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Kerry Berger, Hagu, Solomon Carey, and Stephen Sen.
Hi there, my name is Griffith Simon. I am a member of the Equinox in Westwood, and I live just minutes away. I'm here to support the motion because I feel like the archaic specific plan that's 30 years old does not represent the businesses that are currently in Westwood or trying to be started in Westwood. As businesses and restaurants evolve over time, so should the specific plan. And specific examples like where there used to be a lot of waiters and waitresses at restaurants, now there are iPads. And a lot of these aren't being reflected in a specific plan, and it's really showed in Westwood with the vacancy and a lot of businesses trying to start up there and being restricted by these really archaic requirements. Also, with regards to parking, I frequently Uber or Lyft to Westwood, and so I feel like the parking requirements should be lifted or changed as well. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kerry Berger. I'm one of the owners of the Broxton restaurant, which is located in Westwood. Our group has locations all over Los Angeles that we've opened up in the last few years. Fortunately, in Westwood, we were able to find an existing location, so we weren't implicated directly by this specific plan. But now we're seeing it because the kind of growth and excitement that we're seeing in other parts of the city as new concepts are coming in that are more responsive to consumer needs are just not happening in Westwood. And every one of us, and I think every one of you, if you were to ask me, how's Westwood doing? You know, how's that compare to your other places? What happened to Westwood? Why isn't Westwood the way it was when we were growing up? I think they would point to these restrictions, and they'd look at them and they would see that they're out of touch with what consumers are looking for. And these are people that would come in to compete with us, but we realized that they would also be folks that would create more excitement in the village. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes our public comment speakers on this matter. Tell me your name, sir.
Sam?
Okay.
I was after Hagu. I was.
Got it. No, I called you. I just thought you would have lined up.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Stephen Sand. I'm the chairman of the Westwood Community Council. I live, work, went to UCLA undergrad and law school. I've basically spent my life in and around Westwood. I do support this motion, but I want to make a plea to planning staff and to the members of this committee. Fortunately, we're in Los Angeles, not in Washington, and I believe facts still matter in Los Angeles. And I hope and I know that facts matter to the planning department. Facts are that Westwood Village has more fast food, and this is the BID's own survey, which they don't cite. Their own survey showed we have twice the amount of food in Westwood as 3rd Street Promenade, despite the fact that there are millions more people going to Santa Monica downtown in the pier than coming to Westwood. It contributes to a massive failure rate. Last year, we had 17 businesses that failed in the village, 14 of which were food, and all but 2 of those were fast food or fast casual. We'll submit these facts to the record, but I really want to urge planning staff to please look at the data and the facts, not just the rhetoric. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we have comments from Representative of Council District 5.
Thank you, everybody. Hagu Salam, Kerry Planning Deputy for Councilmember Kretz. I just want to lend the Council Office's support to this study. Thank the Planning Department for taking the time to look into what is an old plan that has, at least in some part, hindered the growth and certainly commercial development in the village. And we as a Council Office are really looking to return Westwood Village to at least the modern version of the kind of vital past that it had, especially on the heels of the Metro line opening up and the Olympics coming. So we look forward to the kind of nuanced analysis that the report will provide, and hope that can provide a forum for community input on what those recommendations are, and hope that the end result will be a motion that asks for modifications to the plan that serve both the residents, the students, and the visitors of the village. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Keller, Mr. Hershey, do we have any comments from the Planning Department? You sure? Going once, going twice. All right. Members, any discussion? Got at least one Bruin on the dais. You want to weigh in? Oh, we got 2 Bruins on the dais. I'm sorry. But no comments. Look at there. All right, so I move that we adopt this matter. Do we have a second? Second. And second it. Hearing no objection. That'll be the order. All right. That takes us to item number 3. Mr. Mejia?
Sure. Item 3, Councilman, these are 2 reports, one from the Bureau of Contract Administration and the second from the Planning Department as it relates to the implementation labor standards for Measure JJJ.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Chris Jensen. I am the Labor Compliance Officer for the City of Los Angeles as part of the Bureau of Contract Administration. Measure JJJ, when it was passed, was very vague. It basically establishes that a certain wage must be paid, and it also establishes that certain local hire requirements be made. However, it also assigns the monitoring and enforcement of that to the Bureau of Contract Administration. However, it really does not go into any detail on that. So what we are looking for, what we're hoping to get is council direction to basically establish that our office, the Bureau of Contract Administration, is responsible and give us a guideline for the terms of the requirements. We also need to be funded for the work that we're going to do. So, in a nutshell, that's really what we're looking for.
All right, anything? All right.
Hello, Shauna Bonson, Deputy Director, City Planning. I would just add that the Department of City Planning has been collaborating with Contract Administration in implementing Measure JJJ as it pertains to labor requirements, and we're here just for support.
Okay, I imagine there's a good amount of discussion on this matter. I've got one public comment speaker, Violet Coker.
Good afternoon, council members and staff. My name is Violet Coker, Public Affairs Representative for the Carpenters Contractors Cooperation Committee. I'm here to show our support for this item and to emphasize the need for a strong enforcement component to Measure JJJ projects. One of our top priorities is curbing wage theft and illegal underground economy practices, which are extensive in the Southern California residential construction market. Recently, the Labor Commissioner issued a $17 million citation against a framing subcontractor for wage theft affecting over 1,000 workers on projects right here in Los Angeles. Programs like JJJ with training and wage requirements are one of the key ways to transform this sector of the construction industry in a more sustainable and productive direction. We need strong enforcement to promote good job opportunities. At the same time, we should be exploring other policies to encourage quality development wherever possible in the land use process. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, discussion. I'll begin to my far left, Mr. Cedillo. All right, Mr. Blumenfeld.
Thank you. I think it's really important that we do this and figure out a way to enforce JJJ. And I mean, it's curious. I mean, if somebody were to pull up a permit tomorrow, and this has been in effect now for almost 2 years, what would happen? How would we go about enforcing it?
We have developed policies and procedures. However, we lack any authority to go ahead and implement those. So once we get direction from council, we are very prepared to go ahead and begin implementing those. We are very proactive. We like to work with contractors and developers. I've been doing this for 23 years. Our office has been doing it for about 47, I think, at this point. We don't play hide the ball. We meet with contractors, tell them ahead of time exactly what they need to do, and work with them very diligently to make sure that they achieve that goal.
And in terms of penalties, I mean, we've talked about the wage theft issue, which is critically important. What would the penalties be for non-compliance, and what are the options in terms of that?
There are different types of violations. Penalties can go from in some cases, a wage might change by 85 cents. And is a developer really trying to cheat their workers by 85 cents? Probably not. But in a case like that, it's a phone call from our office. We'll call the contractor, the developer, and say the wage has changed. They'll respond, oh gosh, we didn't realize. They'll take care of it right away. In a case like that, there's no penalty. On the extreme other end, we will get certified payrolls indicating that workers were paid a pretty high wage. Can be on this probably in $35 to $40 an hour range. But in actual fact, the worker is getting $8 to $10 cash under the table. Different type of violation, it's handled in a very different way. Penalties on that can be rather steep, can be up to $200 per individual worker per day.
And then what do you put that into an escrow account, or how does that work?
Any penalties collected would go back to the city's general fund.
Okay, and is there, in terms of other way, the types of enforcement, you mentioned a couple in the report, is there preference?
I'm sorry, is there what?
Well, in the report, you had 3 different methods for enforcement. Do you have a preference in terms of what method that you use? Is it dictated by the number of positions that you're going to have?
Okay. It's determined by the by the well, 3 different tiers. It's if there are very little problems or no problems, that would be require very minor involvement from our office. A moderate amount, say 2 or 3 violations, possibly 4 if they're relatively minor, those could be handled relatively quickly. Might take a little more time. If they are the last type that I indicated, where the contractor is lying to us, they're falsifying documents, sometimes telling their workers to lie to us, that's going to take more time. That could potentially go to a hearing.
And I guess with JJJ, we haven't had any permits pulled yet. So if we gave the authority for the position, and there's no permits pulled, what would that person be doing, or how would that work? Assuming they have other work, they could be doing general contract work.
Shauna Bonson, I'm just going to pipe in to say that we have a number of cases, projects that have been approved and have gone through the pipeline in terms of planning, and so they will be going to building and safety and beginning their clearances that would include attending contract administration.
So the position authority, though, I mean, you want one position authority. Presumably they'll be doing other things as well.
Correct. We have we do labor compliance currently for Department of Public Works, harbor, airports, water and power, the libraries, the zoo, police and fire. Virtually all the city.
Right.
We do labor compliance for now.
Right, but you're asking for an additional position authority specifically for Triple J.
Correct. With the belief that there are projects coming. I believe there are 38 projects in the pipeline currently. Council has already approved 3 of them with a 4th pending.
Like what I'm getting is if there that this position would be flexible enough that they'd be able to work on these other issues as well as the Triple J stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Mr. Price.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, let me just thank you, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, for your leadership on this important issue as we seek to make sure that JJJ is working for everybody. And a special shout out to Mr. Reamer and the team from the Bureau of Contract Administration for your efforts, your collaborative efforts in coming up with a structure that I think makes a whole lot of sense. I support wholeheartedly the first 3 recommendations that you're making, but I do have some concerns with the 4th recommendation on the report, because it seems to be more of a reactive approach rather than a proactive solution to me. I'd recommend that we involve one of our enforcement agencies, specifically building and safety, to help with oversight of this duty. And now, I certainly agree with you that withholding certificate of occupancy from non-compliant projects is a potent tool. However, we can't wait until a project is completed before we start enforcing it. I think sometimes that would tend to occur. So I propose that we come up with the reporting requirement that's presented to this committee at various stages of the project. For example, we can request a report back at 50%, 75%, or even 90% of the project's completion. This way, we can work closely with building and safety to withhold building permits if necessary, depending upon the project's compliance. So doing this, Mr. Chairman, I think will help ensure that we're doing all we can within our power to encourage full compliance with JJJ regulations.
If I could address that, please. The Office of Contract Compliance that I work for under Bureau of Contract Administration is very active. We are well known throughout not just the city, well, throughout the state of California for our compliance efforts. There are only 4 agencies in the entire state that are certified by the state of California, by the Director of the Department of Industrial Relations. We are the first of those 4 that are certified. That's cities, counties, school districts, water districts, we're one of 4. We are the only agency in the entire state of California outside of the state that also has the authority to monitor and enforce apprenticeship requirements. No other city or county agency has that authority.
How can we ensure that those checks are done early, done at the beginning of the process, not halfway through?
No.
And then, or at the end, when we say, okay, we slap you on the hand, it hasn't been emptied for 6 months or a year because you didn't comply.
Exactly.
Yeah. How do we avoid that?
We meet with a contractor, every contractor before a project ever begins. And usually about 30 days before a project begins, we basically go down a checklist with them and tell them, you need to do this and this and this. And if you don't, then we will do this and this and this. We do everything we can to communicate with them. A follow-up letter goes to them immediately from the analyst that's assigned to their particular project. We regularly meet with contractors. We do not wait until the end. If we wait until the end, that opens us up to charges of why did you wait until the end? Are you just trying to run up penalties? Our job is not to collect penalties. Our job is to make sure that, in this case, local workers are employed.
And I know you're doing your job. I'm just trying to make sure we're doing ours as oversight. So, Mr. Chairman, again, I don't know if a report back, if a motion is required, but I think there should be some kind of report back to the committee on the basis, on the efforts that these projects are in terms of compliance. But I'll accept your guidance.
I appreciate that, Mr. Price. And I just had a follow-up question to the sort of the line that Mr. Price has laid down, and just wanted some historical context. With projects where you all monitor now, just say large projects, what is your interaction with building and safety, if any?
With building and safety on the vast majority of our projects, we really don't have any interaction with them.
Here comes Mr. Reamer. I hear footsteps.
Good afternoon, John Reamer, Inspector of Public Works, Bureau of Contract Administration. I do appreciate the line of questioning, council members. When we have private development and there is a issuance of a certificate of occupancy, building safety is the appropriate department to provide that. It is not unusual for that department to check with Public Works to make sure that all public expectations have been met, especially if they're development or improvements with respect to the public right-of-way. And we're envisioning that we mirror that same approach here. So in this case, even though the Bureau of Contract Administration would be the ones that provide oversight and monitoring of the labor expectations under JJJ, Building and Safety would be the department that would ultimately say, okay, fine, everyone has given their approval, certificate of occupancy is to be issued. So this motion here, or our recommendation, was simply to, and we apologize for the ambiguity in how we worded it, authorize Building and Safety to include us as one of the checkoffs that they would refer to, if you will, before they issued the certificate of occupancy. With respect to waiting until the end, we totally agree with you, council member. Our relationship with contractors typically is at the beginning of the project, we inform them as to what the expectations are, and then we monitor. A 50% report back is certainly doable, especially if we see that there's an issue or a concern. We had at one time explored the possibility of creating an escrow account, but we did not want to create a financial burden for the developers. So we thought the
At least the smaller developers, perhaps.
Excuse me?
That's the smaller developers, the smaller.
Most certainly. So the thought here was that we ultimately want everyone to succeed, up to and including at the end when the development is done and the request for the certificate of occupancy is made. We're dotting all I's and crossing all T's. That would be a leverage point, if you will, to have one
that would not necessarily be a financial burden, but it would provide us an opportunity to resolve any issues. Do we want to wait until the end of the project to use that leverage? Most certainly we do not. That's why we would be monitoring the progress throughout the life of the development, be it our doing the direct monitoring or utilizing, as Councilmember Blumenfield alluded to, the three options that we placed in this report. We would allow the developer to hire someone on their behalf to make sure that these payrolls and the local hire requirements were adhered to. And we would be checking with that person on a regular basis. If we were to do it, the cost would be a little different. But we have scenarios where we've allowed the developer themselves to do it. But in the event, we want to make sure that someone is watching this. We totally agree with you. We don't want to wait until the last minute to tell everybody we have a problem. If we're at a 50% mark or a 75% mark and we see there's an issue, or if a complaint has been lodged with our office, then it gives us time to solve the problem and give
You're suggesting that you do those checks anyway.
Excuse me?
You're suggesting that you do those checks.
Most certainly we are.
So it's just a matter then of reporting back to this committee so that we know what's going on.
It is.
That was my question, Mr. Chairman. How do we sort of track what's happening?
And I guess just to follow this string along a little bit closer, though, I guess this is pure curiosity on my part.
Sure.
The trigger that's pulled by building safety is the certificate of occupancy. They're the ones who have to say yes or no to that. Am I right on that?
You're correct.
And so if you, in the circumstance that you have a contractor that's paying the $200 a day, addressing fines, do you all, is there a process where you say to building and safety, hey, these folks are way out of compliance, maybe stop giving them additional permits to continue the work? Is that something you do, or is that never happens, or is that particular to each agreement?
It's a fair question. Normally, building and safety, they are providing inspection for private development. Typically, private development will not have public monies associated with it.
Yeah.
Therefore, the requirement for prevailing wage does not exist. We're not involved. In instances where building and safety is involved, where public monies are in place, case in point, the police administration building or a police station or a fire station, in that instance, there's still the certificate of occupancy. But if we're going to look at a responsibility issue as it relates to, is this a contractor that adheres to labor requirements, as was alluded to earlier, a concern over wage theft, then that becomes a responsibility discussion that the city itself would want to entertain. I don't know that we have anything in place right now that would prohibit the department from issuing a permit in the future based on past practice of wage theft. It's a conversation that could happen, but I don't believe that's anything in place now. The city, however, does have that when it comes to our own contracts. And we do have a process in place when we have non-responsible contractors where we can choose to, for a period of time after they've been given their due process, address it in such a way as they're not being able to bid in the future on any work.
I see. Mr. Smith?
Yes, I just had one question. I think there's been a good exploration of the other issues. On the personnel request, has that been sent to the CAO for budgets, next year's budget, or are you looking for budget authority now?
Both.
Okay. So have the CAO opined on budget authority now, which would require...
No. My apologies for the quick response. We have included the request in our upcoming budget.
Mm-hmm.
This was penned back in June, and so we didn't know how quickly it would come before you. So we have it in both locations.
Okay.
And we haven't had an answer on the other part yet. It's still working its way through discussion.
All right, Mr. Cedillo, anything for the record on this? No. All right. All right, so we've got a number of instructions in front of us, Mr. Mejia, and then we will add to that Mr. Price's amendment that we get report backs from BCA about compliance, regarding compliance, at I guess a halfway point for the large projects on a halfway and 3/4 point. on projects going forward. If you could let us know, read us the other instructions, and then we'll consider them.
So, instruction 1, to receive and file the report from the City Planning Department in as much as the report is provided for informational purposes. 2, approve the Bureau Contract Administration recommendations and request the Bureau as lead with the assistance of City Attorney, Department of Building and Safety, Planning, to prepare the ordinance for the administration of projects subject to Measure JJJ in consultation with the CAO and the CLA, which will include the recommendations embedded in the BCA report as to compliance with the State of California prevailing wage rates, to adopt the policies and procedures that were prepared and are embedded in the Bureau of Contract Administration report, to authorize BCA to hire one management analyst to administer the requirements of Measure JJJ, and as such, the CAO is required to opine on this position authority, to authorize BCA, and this gets to Mr. Price's concern, the language is amended to clearly denote, in coordination of the Department of Building and Safety, to provide clearance for any certificate of occupancy for a project until it has been determined that it has satisfied the labor requirements. It's denoted in the report that any monies would be deposited or into an escrow account, that the CAO can opine on that, whether it belongs in an escrow account or into the general fund, as was earlier suggested. 5, to require the developer to submit a fee or other funding mechanism to compensate the Bureau for its administrative and monitoring costs. And 6, to identify a fee to implement the BCA oversight, utilizing what is now known as the policies and procedures, previously was noted as rules and regulations, and to also include Mr. Price's requirements as to compliance at the halfway point and at 3/4 of the projects going forward.
Excellent. So that's the motion before us. I move it. Is there a second? It's been seconded. Hearing no objection, that'll be the order. Okay. And that moves us to item number 4.
Councilman, item 4 is a motion of Farrell Weezar. It's instructing the City Planning Department and the City Attorney to report on the impact of various CRA projects and CRA memo that is dated June 27th, 2018, indicating that 6 redevelopment plans have land use limitations that potentially affect 25 development projects in redevelopment project areas and that are in conflict with Measure JJJ and the transit-oriented communities incentives.
All right. Do we have any comments from the Planning Department? Ms. Keene?
Good afternoon, Chair and honorable committee members. Tricia Keene, Deputy Director, Department of Regional Planning. We're here to answer any questions that you might have on this if you need any additional information.
Excellent. Thank you so much. If you'll just hang tight for a second. I have 4 speakers on public comment. On comment on this item number 4. Shane Phillips, Doug Haynes, Beth Doors, Susan Hunter, in any order.
Good afternoon, council members. Shane Phillips of the Central City Association. We've been very supportive of the TOC program, and we want to thank Councilmember O'Farrell for his motion to resolve the conflict with CRA redevelopment plans. In just the Hollywood and Koreatown redevelopment areas, our tracking shows more than 2,200 housing units proposed with TOC, including several hundred reserved for low-income households, and the majority of these are now at risk because of this conflict. There are undoubtedly hundreds more units that have delayed submitting applications since CRA's memo from June 2018. We appreciate City Planning's efforts to find alternative entitlement options in the short term, but we worry that few, if any, projects will utilize the density bonus and CUP alternative. That process is slower and more uncertain than the TOC program, while also costing more and offering fewer incentives. Thousands of homes, including hundreds of affordable units, will be held up until this issue is resolved. So we ask that this committee and city planning work to find a resolution as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Susan Hunter, Coalition to Preserve Los Angeles. Thank you for your time today. Unfortunately, this is what happens when we don't want SB 827 and we probably won't want SB 50, but we want TOC, we want JJJ. Of course, Gavin Newsom has already said that he wants to bring back the CRA. So we're trying to fold the CRA into planning, but then we're going to have a future conflict because we continue to make our planning and our land use decisions around what the developers want and not what the community that's currently existing actually needs. And as long as we continue to do that and create these kinds of conflicts, we're going to continue to run into these kinds of problems. Density is not the solution because that's not what the actual problem is creating. We don't have a problem with not having enough density. We don't need any more luxury units. What we need is real planning based on the needs of the community and to address the problems that we're facing today and to address the problems that we're going to face in the future. And I can pretty much promise you, we're not going to have 30,000 rich homeless people on the street who can't find a luxury housing option that fits their needs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Doug Haynes. The problems with the CRA and the redevelopment zone areas and TOC projects are the same problems that you have if you have an HPOZ or you have a single-family residential area. There are restrictions on the redevelopment plan areas that come out of AB 283 from the late 70s that restricted the amount of development in these zones. They were supposed to be protected by the CRA. And the fact that the TOC projects go well beyond what the redevelopment plan areas permit are the reasons that the CRA has come up with their position. I would point out on this matter that the zoning was reduced dramatically in all areas to make the city in compliance with AB 283. That was its purpose, except for the CRA areas. They were carved out. That's why they have this archaic high-density zoning that the TOCs then leapfrog above, and that's why they're not permitted. It's been decimating for our neighborhood, and we need to stop it, and that's why I ask that these be respected.
Thank you.
Respect the restrictions. Thank you.
Beth Doris on behalf of Hollywood Heritage. The January 9th, 2019 report of the Planning Commission appears to be exactly the report that the motion is asking for. So considering the motion today seems moot. On top of that, I don't think we want to encourage opinion shopping. The January 9th letter appears to endorse or at least live with the CRA's conclusion. In addition, the January 9, 2019 report from the Planning Commission appears to encourage backroom dealing in that it says, come talk to us if you don't like the result that the CRA's letter says. Thank you.
All right, I think that concludes our speakers. I don't see our fourth speaker. Members, any questions or comments on this item? I don't see any discussion here. Mr. Steele, Mr. Smith, all good. And if you don't have anything further, I think we can, I'll move that we adopt this matter. Second. It's been seconded. Hearing no objection, that'll be the order. And that takes us to item number 6. Thank you so much, Ms. King.
Item 6, Councilman, this is a report from the Central Area APC. It relates to appeals as to the environmental clearance for a mixed-use development that consists of 422 residential units. 2 of the appellants have withdrawn their appeal. What's outstanding is one appeal by Mr. Mark Tarsinski.
Yes, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, Honorable Council Member. I'm Jack Chown, Zone Administrator, City Planning Department. The appeal before you is a challenge to the mitigated negative declaration of a mixed-use development called the Bixel Residence. The development is located within the Central City West Pacific Plan area on the west side of 110 freeway. The project proposed a 36-story mixed-use building with a 422 dwelling units and a 7-story 126 guest room hotel. The project site is currently a vacant lot being used for surface parking. There will not be any demolition of existing structures or the removal of any housing unit. The project entitlement was appealed to the Central Area Planning Commission in February 2018. The APC sustained the zoning administrator's decision and denied the appeal, so the appellant filed a sequel appeal to the City Council. The appellant claimed that the MND for the project is inadequate, especially the shade and shadow impact. Based on the review of the project, the MND and the whole of the records, both the Central Area Planning Commission and the Planning Department did not find any substantial impact, and further find the MND and its mitigation measure were adequate and able to reduce environmental impact to the level of insignificance. The applicant of the project have submitted various studies, including the traffic, emissions, shade and shadow, greenhouse gas, and more, to analyze all the potential environmental impacts. The MND also contains a regulatory compliance measure and a mitigation monitoring program to assure a good project. In addition, the Central City West Pacific Plan was adopted with an EIR. So much of the project's potential impact on the growth was already analyzed as part of the Pacific Plan EIR. So the Planning Department staff asked the council members to sustain Central Area's Planning Commission's decision to adopt the MND because the appeal has no merit. The recommendation is to deny the appeal before you and allow a Broadway project to be built. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We may come back to you later. Mr. Tarzinski, you have 5 minutes to speak. Of course, if you are not here, those 5 minutes will be forfeited. We don't see Mr. Tarzinski. All right. Do we hear from Alex Irvine if we don't hear from Mark Tarzinski?
And Mr. Irvine is the applicant or appellant? Who is Mr. Irvine exactly?
He's the applicant representative.
Yes, he can speak.
Councilmember, it's at your discretion if you would like the applicant to answer any questions you might have.
All right, so you're the applicant's representative? All right, hang tight. If we have any questions from here, we'll ask you. We have a handful of speakers on item number 6. Douglas Karstens, Jay Bradford, Doug Summers.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair, Honorable Council members. My name is Douglas Karstens with Chattenbrown & Karstens. We represent the 1100 Wilshire Property Owners Association. We're here for general comments and to ask you to vote today. We had filed an appeal previously, but withdrew that appeal. In light of discussions and negotiations, we're satisfied with the Career Lofts project proposal. Therefore, we withdrew our opposition. 1100 Wilshire reached the conclusion that the construction of any building at the project site is likely to affect private residential views from one or another of member units to some extent, and that the current siting and orientation of the project's proposed building represents their best overall placement vis-a-vis minimizing impacts to the greatest number of owners and members. Placing the buildings adjacent to Bixel Street will also help activate Bixel Street from a pedestrian perspective. We thank you for your time and ask you to vote today. Thank you very much.
My name is Jay Bradford with Creed LA. We support this project. We appreciate the applicant's good faith efforts to mitigate environmental effects, their community outreach efforts, and their vision to convert the existing parking lot into high-quality residential units and hotel rooms. We also appreciate the fact that the project will include green features such as rooftop solar panels, EV charging stations, and energy-efficient appliances that support and promote a healthy environment. Every time our environment is protected and our community is benefited, we all win. This is why we urge you to approve the project. Thank you.
All right, Doug Summers, Steve Gerdes, Alan Abshez, Yelena Zeltzer.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Doug Summers. I represent UA Local 709 Sprinkler Fitters, Los Angeles. I'm here to encourage you to please approve this project. It's important to recognize projects that recognize good middle-class jobs to the hardworking men and women of Los Angeles. Our local workforce will earn prevailing wage, have a part in making our city a more vibrant place to visit and explore. The applicant has ensured and made good commitments with the skilled crafts on local hire and local companies to do this work. So I encourage you to approve this project, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Gertis, and I'm here representing over 6,000 members of Sheet Metal Workers, Local 105, and we support this project. The project site is an empty plot of land, unmaintained and barely used for parking. With this project, we have the opportunity to add a high-quality development that provides 422 homes for our families. At a time when we have a housing crisis in our city, we need to use land to its full potential and in ways that serve our community, especially land that is near transit. A good project benefits our city with housing and good-paying jobs, and this is one of those projects. Therefore, we urge you to support this and approve this project.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Yelena Zeltzer. I'm here today on behalf of over 30,000 hospitality workers represented by Unite Here Local 11. We support, some of them are here with me today. We support this project and we urge the committee to approve the requested entitlements today. The project will provide much needed housing units and hotel rooms in the area. Please approve the project. Thank you.
Shane Phillips, April Papili, Chris Cheek. Sorry, sometimes the computer gets your handwriting wrong, so it's not my fault.
Good afternoon again. Shane Phillips with Central City Association. Since it seems to be just supporters here today, I'll cut my comments short and just say that this project is supported by its neighbors, as you've heard here today, and we at CCA also encourage you to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is April Papili, and I just want to let all you council members know what a great and fantastic job you guys are doing with the city of Los Angeles. And I'm here to tell you guys.
Maybe we can get your name right next time.
Got to use your hand, Papili. We support, on behalf of ARMS, we support this project. It's actually very encouraging that the applicant is committed to supporting the local workforce training, development, and especially local hire. For us at ARMS, it is the opportunity for members to launch a career in the construction industry. We're talking about at-risk youth, veterans, and those that are in need of an actual second chance, like myself. We are asking for the opportunity to walk along rather than behind others in society. This is a benefit that we should all cherish, and one that we hope that you will facilitate by approving this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Chris Cheek. I'm here on behalf of Plumbers Local 78 in Los Angeles. This project is replacing a parking lot and an empty lot. No one is being displaced from this project. The project will revitalize the area and extend redevelopment of downtown Los Angeles onto the other side of the 110 freeway. The project will increase housing opportunities and increase our tax revenue. This project also has transformational value for our city and for our hardworking men and women to advance their careers. We strongly urge you to approve the project. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Cedillo? All right, any discussion? All right, that's been moved and seconded that we deny the appeal. Hearing no objection, that'll be the order.
And just to also make sure to adopt the mitigation measures, the mitigation monitoring program, and the CEQA findings. Council.
So ordered. All right, that takes us to item number 1.
Yes, that's Mr. Bertoni's report.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I don't have a report for you today. Next week I will, I promise.
Okay, we'll be looking forward to it. All right, that clears the desk, and we're adjourned. Thank you all so much.